In this video, I'm going to show you how I make a delicious and spicy Chipotle hot sauce with only 3 ingredients and no cooking or fermenting. It's that simple. Here we go. The main ingredient for this hot sauce is going to be these canned Chipotles in adobo sauce. And if you're not familiar with this, Chipotle peppers are just smoked jalapenos. They're jalapenos that have been allowed to turn red, and then they're dried and smoked. And then adobo sauce is basically like a sweet and tangy, kind of like a barbecue sauce. And so what we've got in this can here is a whole bunch of very flavorful, sweet and spicy. As you can see on the ingredients list here, we've got water, chipotle peppers, onions, vinegar, tomato puree, salt, dried peppers, sugar, soybean oil, and spices. And these are found in the Hispanic foods section of my grocery store. And these chipotle peppers are a very rich, dark brown. And of course, they're swimming in that dark red adobo sauce, which again it's like a barbecue sauce. And of course, there's some chunks of onions mixed in here too, and there's just a really lot of flavor packed in this tiny little can. As far as heat goes, the Chipotles are kind of low on the heat scale as far as peppers go. They're even a little less hot than a Tabasco. I'm a pretty regular consumer of hot sauces, and I would classify these Chipotle peppers kind of in the medium scale of heat. But I've got one of these little bullet blender devices here. It's about a 24-ounce cup here. I'm going to go ahead and just dump that entire can of chilies in adobo sauce in there, and just making sure to get all that goodness out of there and into that cup. Now you could blend this up now, but through trial and error I've discovered that the best result comes if you add just a little bit of liquid here. This is just a little too thick right now to get a good blend. So what I'm going to add is some vinegar. This is white vinegar. You can use apple cider or whatever your favorite vinegar is. I wouldn't use balsamic. But yeah, apple cider or white vinegar is good. And I'm just going to put about a half a cup of vinegar in there. And that's just going to give enough liquid so that blender can do its job and really get things whipping around in there. And we want to get those peppers pretty much liquefied. So onto the blender it goes on high. And like I said, I want this pretty liquefied. Of course, this is totally up to you how smooth or chunky you want your end product to be. If you want some chunks left in your hot sauce, you know, that's fine. Just blend it less. But like I said, I like mine to be nice and smooth. And this does take a while to blend. More than just a typical 20 or 30 second blend. I'm going to let this run for a good 2 to 3 minutes. And you'd be surprised how long that actually is when you turn on a blender and look at a timer. It seems like quite a while running a blender, but it's really necessary because there are seeds in those chipotle peppers that really need to get blended up good. And I'm going to be putting this into a squirt bottle at the end, so I want it nice and smooth so it doesn't clog up the tip of my squirt bottle. So like I said, blend this about 2 to 3 minutes, or until your blender has traveled at least 1.5 feet across your countertop. So at this point, I'm just going to open it up and take a look and see how it's doing. If I see any large chunks here still, I'm going to put it back in the blender. But the way this is looking right now, this looks good. I don't see any chunks at all, but this is really thick the way it is right now. And if you want something really thick like this, you can stop right here and you're done. But I want mine a little thinner than this, so I'm going to add a half a cup of water. You could do all vinegar instead of part vinegar, part water, and I've done that quite a few times, but I find that it's just a little bit too vinegary for my taste. So I like to mellow out that vinegar flavor a little bit with just a little bit of water. And the reason I put the water in separately instead of putting all the water and vinegar in at once is if there's too much liquid in the blender, then the blender seems to have a hard time finding all those chunks of peppers. So I like to have just the minimum amount of liquid in the blender for it to be able to do its job. And then I'll add the rest of the water later. And that's all 3 ingredients right there. The can of chipotle peppers, a half cup vinegar, and a half cup water. You could add additional seasonings and spices if you want, and I've done that many times, but in my opinion it doesn't seem to make a difference. I can't taste the other seasonings or spices. The flavor of those chipotle peppers is just so powerful, it just really no point in adding anything else. It's good just the way it is. And these amounts are intended to fit in my 16-ounce squirt bottle there. So I've got 7 ounces in the can, 4 ounces of vinegar, and 4 ounces of water. That's a total of 15 ounces, and that'll fit perfectly in this 16-ounce squirt bottle here. Obviously you could use whatever container you want, but just know, as you can see on my bottle here, it will stain any kind of plastic container that you use. A glass mason jar would be a good choice, and you can just spoon it out of there. I've done that before. And if it's possible to have a dedicated blender for this stuff, I would do it, because if you go to make a banana smoothie the next day after making this hot sauce, you're going to taste those chipotles in your smoothie. It's pretty much the only thing I use this blender for these days. And 2-3 minutes more on the blender, and here we've got a nice smooth and liquefied sauce here, as you can see. And I like mine like this, a little bit on the runny side. It's not watery, but it's definitely a little thinner than ketchup. I don't really like it to be real thick like ketchup, but a nice kind of thinness to it is something that I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this finished product into my 16-ounce squirt bottle, put the cap on, and then that's going to live in the fridge with the vinegar and peppers as the main ingredients in there. That'll last in the fridge for a couple of months. Usually mine is gone within a month or so, because I eat this pretty regularly. Obviously this would be good on any Mexican food, your tacos or burritos, but it's also great on things like burgers, or to add a little zip to a soup or a stew. Squirting some of this in a pot of chili is exceptionally good. The most common way that I eat it is on my eggs in the morning, but for full transparency, I made this pretty looking omelet just for this video. Normally I don't waste time in the morning making my breakfast look pretty. This is what my breakfast looks like on most mornings. In case you're wondering what's in there, that's 3 eggs, some red peppers, and some pinto beans there in that bowl. Breakfast of champions. But I hope you found that useful. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.